Please listen carefully.
All right, so I think at this point we're just going to cut straight into where we left off with, the amazing Ted Gould III, also known as Blyss, aka Brother Theodore, and I think we're just going to plunge right in and have him pick up the threads for us because oh my gosh, what an amazing guest. I mean, I hope people listened to last week. If you haven't, definitely go back and check out part 1 because it was fantastic. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in there. Right? I mean,
oh man,
am I wrong?
I'm in it. I'm in it right
he's
now.
The man. I love this guy. Yeah, we may have to do this again, I think, in the future. Anyway, without further ado, here's part 2 of our interview with Blyss. One thing that I know, our audience is interested in, and we talk about this a bit, right? We've talked about some practical advice for people on gigs and good gigs and how to keep them. Something else I think that folks really should appreciate is that, if you want to be seen out there in a certain way, you want to have, gear that is sufficiently professional. It's got to be up to the task. Mm-hmm. It's got to be working. Everything's got to be working well. You don't want to show up to the gig and, this cable is busted or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Things happen. Mm-hmm. Have another cable with you, right? Like the things that you have should not be the only things you have, right? Mm-hmm. If you show up and something breaks and you have no backup, that's kind of a mess to be in. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you rely on? Like what's your preferred axe these days that you're playing?
Man, to be honest with you, I'm playing a Marco TFL Relic 4-string passive.
Or just a jazz.
Yeah, I play mostly jazz basses because I think jazz basses are some of the most versatile basses out there.
Yes.
If I can't see showing up on a gig with just a P bass.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they record well, but it's like one of my friends said. He said it's a one-trick pony. Yeah. It's a really good trick.
It's a damn good trick.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like you. I'm a big believer in the jazz bass. You just there's more flexibility in the sound. Mm-hmm. And frankly, the one thing that you're never going to be able to get from a P bass the same way you get it from the jazz bass is like there's that beautiful kind of like growly sort of tone where you're getting like really crisp low and a nice twangy high on top of it. Mm-hmm. And you're never going to get that from a precision type bass.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only gig you can like really get away with having a P bass the whole night is a blues gig, like a straight up blues gig.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong, but that for my taste, that's my main thing that I've been using is the Marco TFL. I still have my Mike Law M5V, and I have a Fender P bass that stays in the case most of the time. I bought it when money was a little bit better, and I just feel like if I sell it, the moment I sell it, I'll need it for something.
Right.
But I really only have 3 basses in rotation, and I don't bring multiple basses to a gig.
Oh, that's the stable. Yeah. I think, the thing is your bass is probably the least likely thing to give out.
Sure.
It's more like it's all the other little dongles and things that are out there where you got more moving parts. And, like you said, it pretty much comes out, you got wood and strings. It's not, it's not rocket science, right?
Right.
What about like in your bag? We're going to do a little desert island thing. Like in your bag, what are like 3 things that you cannot live without? That you carry around to any gig. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like plug in. It could be anything.
Well, let's see. I always have in my guitar tick, I always have an extra instrument cable. I have a Behringer P2 personal monitoring little thing.
Right.
What this joint does is it basically takes the place of a floor wedge. And I've just discovered I could daisy chain from the drummer's from the drummer's wedge if we have the same desires. But if I can get my own floor wedge, I just stick an XLR in there, and that brings me to my in-ears, my JHREO
Nice.
in-ears. My pocket rocket I always take to a gig, because there's always that downtime where I could like shed, and this thing is I like simple, elegant things, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so this thing is built like a tank. It's got tape all over it and stuff. But I plug it in and plug it into the bass, plug an aux cord in my phone. I could chill, and in that whole hour of hurry up and wait time, I could practice, I could run the tunes, I could do whatever, you know what I mean? And of course I got like my tools, screwdriver and some Allen wrenches, and also toothpaste and a toothbrush.
Absolutely. Just so you freshen up.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Oh, that's in the tip. But then I also have I always keep some spare deodorant in the car.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a speed stick that I carry around in my bag just for, because you don't want to offend when you show up. Like, I just got done with this other thing, right? And then I show up to the second thing for tonight, and
right,
things were a little moist, as they say. I know people hate that word, but things get a little damp, and not everything.
I don't have a problem with the word moist personally.
You show up a little damp, things are not, you're not like a daisy necessarily, and that will save you.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think those are all, those are the kind of things that when you meet folks and they pull out things like that, like this is somebody who has spent a lot of time getting around from gig to gig and from show to show, and here's something that is going to, it may not come in handy every show, but when you need it, you really need it. And it's, you get that weight, like the size and weight factor down to a workable level, right? Dave, this is one of your things, right? Like,
yeah, keep it slim, keep it tight.
Yeah,
kinda
exactly.
Keep it right. Like everything is, for a lot of gigs that I'll do, if they're like bar gigs, like, can I make it in one trip? Get all together, nice and tight.
Yeah.
But everything that I need, I kind of dig that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really about the simplicity and stuff.
I've got another thing too. Like, I used to carry my iPad in there with iReal Pro on it, but have recently got an iPhone 8, which is big enough for me to like use one of those little mic clip-on things.
Oh.
And still be able to see it and not have this big iPad hanging around.
Oh, nice.
So, so I actually have one of those GoPro grip things that I've put a cell phone mount on.
Right.
And that I just put on my phone. I just put my phone on that and just hang it on a mic stand, and then you know what I'm saying. So
yeah. So you just hang that off, and then like now you've got your like prompt or whatever it is that you need.
Yeah, I mean that iReal Pro, man. Since it's open source, charts is sometimes a little bit tricky. So a little communication in ears doesn't hurt. But that thing is a lifesaver.
Yeah, get you like 95% of the way there. And,
somebody calls something weird and be like, let me pull it up.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And the funny thing is too, like, because I have like the iPad thing, right, with the holder, which was hip for a while, and now like it's like bulky, right? It's this huge thing. It's just like, okay, here's my mic stand, and then there's like this computer screen size thing, that's on there, and then just to store like the whatever that contraption is to hold it is like. Like piece of robot,
Yeah, I'll give you a tiny bit of a little bit of a pet peeve that I have with singers. I make a joke that the singer wants you to know all the songs in the world, but they gonna read their lyrics off iPad.
Right. Right, exactly. But you're an encyclopedia, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think these tools are great. You know what I mean? I think they're great, but also, my goal is to really not ever really need that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't carry around a ton of charts unless I absolutely have to. I'm just a little old school in that way. I mean, I remember a time in I remember a time in the cover band scene. A couple of band leaders were like, we don't do music stands, you know, because the technology wasn't there, but they were like, we don't do music stands on stage.
That's right.
You know, so
yeah,
you know, that's a little old school. That's a little old school, but you know,
have you noticed that, like, I mean, it seems to me like music stands now, like they definitely, like, I remember that time, Ted and I are basically exactly the same age, and
are you 19 too?
I know I am. I still look it right. Thanks, Ted.
You're welcome.
So somebody's going to roll back here. That may have been the part that got reversed. I got erased. I hope it got lost. They're going to be like, well, he could be any age. I have no idea now.
That's right.
But yeah, but I'm the same age as Ted. And I remember that being like, that was verboten, man. Like, you didn't bring music stand on stage with you, period. I could be wrong about this, but I see more of them nowadays than I used to. Yeah. And I'm thinking, what happened to people's memories? Yeah. Like, did we just give up, or what happened?
Well, look,
anybody got an opinion? I don't know.
It's certainly not a knock on anybody. I mean, I rely on technology just like anybody else. I just think, we shouldn't let the technology become a crutch.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, it's like, I've been to poetry things or whatever, and seen people kind of, and I get it, if you're workshopping stuff or whatever, but I'm not entertained by watching you read your phone.
Yeah.
And disengage with me. But again, I have to be careful of not being like back in my day, because this is a new day and people do what they do in this day, and I gotta respect it. This just, for me, I try to pull out the charts only when I have to. Absolutely, like, I've heard that song, but I don't really know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. that type of thing. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. So here's all right. I'm going to pitch another. Here's another hardball question. And then I think we'll take a little pause here.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had enough experience now that you've played with some hefty cats.
Mm-hmm.
You've done. I'm sure you've done local circuit, you've done regional circuit, you've done all those things in between. You've taught, et cetera, et cetera. You've had a whole variety of experiences as a musician and as a bassist. If you could go back in time, like maybe let's imagine, and it doesn't have to be forever. Like it could be like back to, that time when you were getting back into music school because you're going to earn your degree there. Or maybe it was when you were, first starting out in music. And if you could go back in time, when would you like to go back, and what would you like to tell yourself then? Like, what is the thing that you feel like, I wish somebody had told me, ...
There's a ton. But I'll give you about
Preach.
I'll give you 4 things. There's a ton. I'm a late bloomer. And traveled some rough roads, and a lot of that was quite honestly my own doing. So I just got to be transparent about that. I won't go deep into the details, but I will say this: if I had to go back to, let's say, my 20-year-old self, because the 20 is that sweet spot, it seems, where we're doing our best messing up, right?
That's right.
Yes.
I would tell that to speak less and listen more. I would tell that kid to spend more time hanging out with people and networking, keeping your eyes and ears open, keeping your mouth shut. And also, I would say I would tell that kid to have a clearer vision, even if that vision is flexible, even if you have to modify it, where you want to be in 5 years. Now, I want to clarify that just a little bit with,
Yeah.
you know, I'm talking to my 19-year-old self.
Right.
I have always wanted to be a musician. I've never, ever wanted to be anything else. Although I grew up in a very musical environment of New Orleans, I did not have musical mentorship per se.
Right.
I didn't, I don't want to dig too deep into my personal life, but I didn't, I learned a lot of things on my own, a lot of things on my own, a lot of things on my hard way that I think robbed
like
me.
you worked through it.
What's up?
Like you worked through it on
yeah, but I think I could have been. I think I may have made some different decisions a lot earlier on. One of the things I think I would have done if I were much younger, I would have done cruise ships.
Yeah,
I mean, I would have done. When I see 19, 20-year-old musicians or whatever, I would say, you need to. If this is what you want to do, you need to play whenever, with whoever, as much as you can, and don't dare turn your nose up at things like cover bands and things like that, because work is work, and you'd be surprised at the people that you encounter playing Mustang Sally, man, playing the shit gig in the middle of the night in that place with just the bartender. That is the place where you prove yourself. That is the place where people find out about you. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's where people, and that's where you find it can be. It's not some place where you want to get sucked into, right? But a gig is a gig anyway.
Yeah, that is the character building part of, I'm gonna, regardless of whether there's one person here or 1,000, I'm gonna put my best into this.
Hey, man.
Because that's how I want people to see what I do.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at the people you sometimes find in these hole-in-the-wall joints. And it ain't because they don't have anything better to do. They still playing. They're in it for the thing. So, so the vision and the goal, it changes. I had a cousin who just swore up and down that they wanted to be in music, and they came out to visit me in California. It was such a great week for them to visit me in California, because it was like during that week I had shows in front of lots and lots of people. I also had shows in front of nobody. I also had, I got to go to this rehearsal, and I got to go to this rehearsal, and I got to shed for this gig. And it was like, I said, here now, because they're in the South, and it's like, you think because I live in California that things are this way or that way. And it's like, no, I'm what I like to call a blue collar bass player.
Yeah.
And so, I do this because if I didn't play bass, I think I'd be in a nut house. And I want to say, I'm working on a book right now, on blue collar bass playing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is making it like, this is at the working man's level.
Yeah,
like,
man.
You're a working man's bass player.
Working man, putting on the overalls.
Yeah.
You done worked all night on Saturday. You up at 7 getting ready for the church gig. You know what I mean?
Bricks.
So I'm just sharing some insights. So anyway, those are some things. I would speak less, listen more. Contradictory, because I just talked my head off. I would hang a network, and I would.
But you earned it now, right?
What's that?
You earned it now, though, right? I mean,
no,
dude.
There's still times when I walk into where I just like there's some kind of picking back to something we said earlier. I know some musicians that are dope as I don't know what, man. They are dope AF, right? And then I realize something about them. I'm like, you don't know how to follow.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, am I capable of being a band leader? Yeah.
Right.
But I'm also capable of knowing when I'm not the band leader.
Right.
And I don't care what's going on in the room. I don't care who messing up or whatever. If it ain't my job to tell, or if it's or if my opinion is not asked for, it's all right for me to just kind of let somebody else be the boss. I'm the bass player.
I know my role.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take that seat.
Like, I know where my where my place in the pecking order is in this particular gig, and and I'm going to do the best at what that role is supposed to be.
And if somebody asks me my opinion, and this is, look, I'm not saying this so I'm not trying to preach at nobody. I still have to remind myself, because I can be opinionated, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I still have to remind myself that if I have a criticism or something or whatever, I need to figure out a way to say it in a way that leaves no bruised feelings.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I learned this the hard way when I was working at that call center, and I was a team lead, and I hated the job. I ain't like most of the people I worked with, and I had a team of 12 people under me, and I had such a hard time. I was sending these copious emails and stuff like that, and you know, and my boss told me at the time, he was like, you know, if 11 out of 12 people think you're a dick, bro, you're a dick. Doesn't matter what you think.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your intentions were. You feel me? All right, I'm preaching. I'm sounding too preachy. I apologize, but you know what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you know, that's what I'm saying.
Right. Oh my goodness. But no, I mean, those are all, I think those are really the valid lessons, right? It's about like what you can give, and is what you're going to give the right thing right now.
Yep.
For what's expected.
Word up.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think those are, I think that's a lot of wisdom, I think, to drop on people here. You know, but this is the whole reason that I think it was important to me to get you on here, because, you know, really thinking about that kind of working man's bass player ideal, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think is truly our audience, right? We're under no illusions that out there somewhere is like, you know, a bunch of people who are touring and, you know, listen to our podcast about like, here's how your compressor works. Nah, I'm pretty sure if you're at that level, you've kind of figured out that stuff. You've learned it. Or if you haven't, you got somebody who's figuring it out for you, because, you know, you must be sounding pretty good by that point, I would imagine. Yeah, the people that are really tuning in here are, you know, they are people who are kind of looking for how can we be at that level? How can we be at the level where, you know, we have enough craft to do what needs to be done. We get appreciated for that. How do we make sure when we show up, we're doing the right things to maximize our chances of being invited back? Do we have the right tools for the job? Do we know how they work? Do we know how to cope with when they don't work? Mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. Things like that. All that stuff that, like, you know, you pick up over years. You know, I think what we're trying to do is sort of bring people, maybe kind of mash that down into a half an hour or so that you can learn without having to go through the pain of when you really learn it the hard way. Like, here's how you don't have to walk home with a black eye, but you still learn the lesson, right?
I really want to mention something. Now, everybody knows Ed Friedland.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
great educator,
in my opinion,
and a great player.
Great player, I'm honored to call Ed a friend. Ed has been. I met Ed a few years ago when he was living in Austin, like right when I got the Zigaboo gig, and I remember we went to this Mexican restaurant by his house, and I'm like, damn it, I'm hanging with Ed Friedland, but. Him and Adam Nitty. See, Adam Nitty is really the godfather of online bass education. I don't know if people remember Music Dojo. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Nitty is really the godfather of that whole thing. But anyway, that's another story. But Ed Friedland, his last article for Bass Player just came out. And I implore everyone to read this article. And I won't give it away, but basically what he's saying is, we live in an age where there's a new blazing, you know, prodigy coming out on YouTube or Instagram every week. Right?
That's right.
And it sets up this expectation. It's either like you're that or you're nothing.
Right.
And here's the thing. And so Ed's kind of I guess I am giving away a little bit of the article. I'm just giving you the premise. You got to go read the article. But
Right.
he's he's talking about his gig with the Mavericks, and he's like,
Yeah.
I don't play the basses. Ed's got hundreds of basses. He's like, I don't play the basses I want. I play the basses that the artist wants.
Right.
I'm playing
Right.
triads. I'm playing predetermined bass lines. The art of being no one.
Right.
The art of being no one.
I loved this article.
It is such a skill. And what's funny, I play with a guy named Prince Damons, and we were doing this thing on Saturday, and I was in outer space. It was, we were sound checking or whatever, and we were about to play Chameleon or something. And me and the drummer are playing, I'm like goofing off, and he looked at me, he's like, I just need four good measures of the bass line. That's all I need.
Right.
I'm just waiting on 4 measures of the bass line, and then we'll start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oops,
Right.
my bad. But this is my homie. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like,
Right.
But any other gig, somebody might have been looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I made a list. I'm gonna just run through this real quick, because I
love it.
I feel like there's going to be like, we should cut something here that'd be like, be a music like Ted's list. It'd be like, something.
You funny. Okay.
We got to have our own sound effect.
But I just kind of started. This is like a list. I don't know if it's 10 or whatever, because I use dashes instead of numbers. So just bear with me. You gotta. I think it's important to have a pro attitude regardless of the gig. You know what I mean? Even if it's a church gig, you hand it like if somebody's giving you money for it, it's a gig and it's a job.
You are a pro. You're a pro at that point,
right? I think mature communication across the board is important, and that is including answering emails and texts within 24 hours. I'm gonna tell you, if I email somebody or text them and you don't get back to me within 24 hours, and you aren't dead or in the hospital, or someone really, really close to you is dead or in the hospital, I feel like and maybe I'm sensitive, but I feel like I'm just not that important to you.
Yeah.
Because we are entirely too connected these days. And I'd be damned if I see you not respond to me and then I see you post on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So under mature communication is responding to emails and texts on time, being communicative about where you need to be and when, blah, blah, blah. The same way that you would do if you worked at any other job, right? You got to handle it like a job. I don't care, even if it's a part-time job. If you're an accountant or a banker or whatever you are, whatever. If you're a student, it's got to be a job. Preparation and reliability.
Yeah.
So many things fall up under the heading of that gig. Again, I say, there are people that I see on the gig and they're friendly, they're cool hang. Everything is cool about the hang. You know what I mean? But I also know I'm gonna have to work a little bit extra harder because I know they didn't listen to the shit. I already know them. I'd have worked with them enough to know that they didn't really listen to the shit. Now, it's not all, and y'all gonna have to beep that out. I'm sorry. It's not always a deal breaker, obviously, because the hang is so good.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm gonna have to work a little bit harder as a bass player.
Right.
The ability to be able to follow a singer or a soloist. Understand, the song, it's not always gonna be like the record.
Mm-hmm.
And the singer is gonna mess up or whatever. You can't drag the singer around. You got to follow the singer because our job is to make them look good.
Yeah.
Knowing when to lead and, more importantly, when to follow. I mentioned that before. Being able to navigate through charts doesn't hurt. And being flexible when things go the way they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, the art of being no one. Just being up there and just being the bass player.
Yeah. Submit yourself to the greater good of what the whole ensemble is doing.
Oh, the gig is on. I'm just playing ones and fives.
Yeah.
Are you getting paid to play ones and fives?
That's
right.
You better think about Eddie Murphy when he was mopping that floor and Coming to America.
Right.
Eddie. Eddie.
Oh my God!
Somebody gonna have a problem. I'm gonna be the first guest y'all have on your podcast and with hate mail. I don't like the way he said that. Oh, I don't like the way he said that.
I'll let you know when we get anything.
Oh,
Some
I don't
people
like
are
the
going to
way
be
he
like,
said that.
no, I guarantee you, there's going to be guys that they're going to be. We're going to get folks who are going to be like, when are you going to have Ted back on there, man? You guys need to have like more bi-coastal shows, more bi-coastal shows. Yeah, it's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, I think that right there is really what it's all about. I mean, that is a guide. I mean, there's some. I think there's some tidbits in there that'll take you far no matter what you're doing. You don't even have to be a musician, but
that's right.
Honestly, like more than half of that list is here's how to do well at life, right? There's no, like, you got to carry that with you into being a musician. Musician is not where you stop being good at life. It's just a different area where you got to put that stuff into practice. Right.
Right.
And the beauty is too, like if some of those even aren't your strong suits, right? Like if some of that has slipped in your past, the beauty is like you can start now.
Yeah.
Like you just heard it just now.
Yeah,
if you're a listener, you just heard that and you can realize that.
I mean, that reminds me of one of my favorite sayings is every day is another day to turn it all around.
That's
right? You had a bad one today. Things went poorly at last night's gig, whatever.
Right.
Every day is another day to turn it around. So, I mean, you heard that list here. This is my challenge, I think, to the listeners is take something from that list. I mean, that list was full of gold. That list was literally a tablet of solid gold. Even if you just take a little piece off of it, just a little nick out of it, like take that gold away and do something with it.
That's right.
Figure the thing out that you can get better at.
Own it.
It's in that list.
Own it.
Right.
Tattoo it on your wall. No, I'm just.
That's right.
I got one of these days, man. I go out there like once every year or every other year. I'm usually out there. I got to figure out a way to get out there and scoot away from whatever's going on professionally and come out and see what you're doing.
If you come out here and you don't see me, bruh, I'm gonna wish all your head fall out. And I'm from New Orleans. I can make that happen.
Boom.
Damn, I'm a
when
Dave,
your scalp
be
start
like, we're
when
gonna
your
start a new
scalp start
podcast.
itching. When your scalp start itching, that's me. Sticking pins in the fall,
now.
dog.
I'm starting to feel itchy now. I gotta watch out. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, probably good time for us to bounce. So we're gonna wrap things up here. We might.
Oh, he want to bounce when I start talking about his hair.
Oh no. Yeah. Once the hair's gone, I'm gone.
Ted, I'm like I still have enough hair for me to believe that I have some hair. Like at the right angle in the mirror.
Dave,
if I tilt my head back.
I seen you.
I have it.
I saw you. You stop fooling yourself, homie.
That's the one fight.
Look,
that's my one fight.
Fellas, I'm going to plug one last thing because I don't think I plugged it. But I'm
do it.
Like soft launching TEDTalksBase.com. And it's basically all the stuff that we're, real practical. And that's why I love Practical Base so much. It's just real practical stuff there. I don't do a lot of transcriptions and all that and PDFs because I really don't have that much time. But a lot of run and gun stuff, but I think is practical and useful. And it's super affordable at $7.99 a month.
Yeah. $7.99 a month. Oh my God. And so and here's the thing, like your little lessons like that. I mean, you did in 2017, you did this Instagram thing that was it was 365 days of bass lessons.
Lord, that was hard.
Oh my gosh, my hat was off to you, sir, because I know just trying to do a podcast week to week is challenging. Something every day, that is a real feat to have pulled off, and my hat is off to you.
Where's the applause button?
But here's the thing. If somebody showed up every day to those lessons, and that was just free stuff like that, 20, 30 seconds, I don't know, minute, whatever Instagram gives you, you could walk in the beginning, day one of the year, and you leave on day 365, and you're going to learn a mountain of stuff. And that's just in a minute a day. Even this run and gun stuff that you do now where, somebody can show up and watch here's a 5-minute quickie or 10-minute, here's a 10 minutes on, hey, here's something to be thinking about when you're playing. Here's how to put some of these concepts together. Mm-hmm. I mean, that stuff is, you wouldn't pay a couple dollars for that. And now we're talking about a whole site full of it that is going to be at tedtalkspace.com. I really think people are going to jump at that.
I want you to feel
great way to pick up content.
I want you to feel like you're sitting in the living room with me, and also feel like the stuff. And now I need to be very clear about this. Very, very clear.
Right.
This is not a knock on any. There is some great stuff out there on the web.
Oh yeah,
great stuff out there on the web. Don't get it twisted. I want I have a sort of soft spot in my heart for older players. When I say older, I mean people in their 30s or whatever, people who may be like, I've been wanting to play bass my whole life and I've never been able to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I want them to feel like, yo, I've been there. This is how we do this. But I don't want you to feel like there's no sorcery in what I do. I got hands, you got hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's wood and it's metal and fingers.
That's it. If I could do it, you can do it.
That's right. That message, I think that is one of the things that makes the idea for TED Talk Space. It makes it so compatible with what we're doing here in Practical Bass. Because I think that's the same kind of people we're trying to reach. There's going to be some, 18, 20, 25-year-olds out there as well, right? Who are going to get a jump on some things.
Absolutely.
But it's also about going out to folks who, may not, they have not been exposed to all this, or maybe they don't have a teacher in their backyard, or whatever the case may be, or they're doing it as a, bedroom hobby or whatever the case may be, right? They're just, and it's all about giving people a leg up. Here's another, as they say, it's another arrow in your quiver, right?
I don't say that, but
you don't say that?
Nah, I've never used the word quiver in my life. No, I'm just kidding.
You should definitely pick this one up, Ted. I'm telling you, it's sweeping the nation.
But he uses arrow.
Well, y'all a mess.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, so man, Ted, I can't tell you. It's been amazing having you on the show. This has been fantastic. I think this is the kind of interview that we really live for here, is having somebody who, is really in the trenches and, doing the work day in and day out, and they can talk from experience.
And good looking, that's right.
Not to mention.
And multiple names.
Multiple names.
Good
funny,
looking.
Good looking.
He's ticking off all the boxes. He can preach.
Big money.
He can sing.
That's right.
He can write. He's got you covered.
I bet he can dance too.
Let's take it easy now. I can't dance.
I don't know. I saw that 504 live. There was a little shuffle going on.
No two step.
It might have been. It was a little bit boot scoop boogie for my taste, but that's just me. Nah, it was all good.
Yes, indeed.
So. One more time, just to remind people, tedtalkspace.com, but again, also brotheoproject.com.
Yes, sir.
Check it out. Check out the Brother Theodore Project, and, throw them a couple bucks, man. It's like, do we all really need another Starbucks coffee? Probably not. Throw a couple bucks for an independent musician.
Thank you so much, guys.
Really out there fighting the good bass fight.
Thank you so much. Paul, Dave, it has been an absolute pleasure. Seriously, been a lot of fun.
It's
a lot of fun.
Don't be surprised if we want to do this again at some point, Ted.
Let's do it.
We're not above doing that.
Anytime.
We're not above it.
I mean that. Anytime.
All right. So if you enjoyed this episode, we hope to hear from you. You can reach us on the web at practicalbass.com. You can find a contact form on the website, which you are welcome to use to get in contact with me and Dave. But you can also just use regular email. You can find us at podcast@practicalbass.com. We'd love to hear from you. Email that you send goes straight to our inbox. We love reading that stuff. Please don't be shy. Feedback, ideas, concepts, anything, even if it's just a chat or maybe share some gear ideas. We love that stuff. So do keep in touch with us. You can also do that through the social networks. So Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, basically everywhere. I think we have a Tumblr now too. We're basically all out there. So keep an eye out for Practical Bass, and you can also join our Facebook group. If you would like to socialize with other listeners, you're welcome to do that as well. Dave and I love doing this podcast. One of the things that makes it worthwhile is when we hear from you, but also when we see that people are listening. You can help with that by subscribing to the podcast. It's very easy to do. Just use your podcatching app of choice. It might be on your iPhone, your Mac, your computer, your Android phone, your other devices. whatever the case may be, just search for Practical Bass. And when our logo comes up, hit subscribe. You'll get a fresh episode delivered to you every week. It is always and heretofore, I don't know what the word is, basically forever.
That's right.
Always going to be free. We don't charge anything for this. We just love doing it. We love hopefully helping you guys out, and we hope that you will let us know what you think of what we're doing. We also hope that you will let others know as well. So share it on groups, share it in social media. If you find something that you like, like a tweet, share a Facebook post, whatever the case may be. It really helps us spread the bass love out there in the world. It helps a lot. So until next time, I am Paul Fields.
And I'm Dave Guzman.
And this has been Practical Bass.
Thanks for listening.
You funny. Okay.